Very good evening, everyone. Welcome to the session on WriteRight. I'm Harsha Vikrama and I will be your moderator for today's session. Let's start the WriteRight, the virtual session on a guide to crafting accurate research papers, organized by the Information Technology Student Association and Engineering Technology Students Association of University of California. First of all, it's great pleasure to welcome our guest speaker, Dr. Shakila Patirana, our senior treasurer, Mr. Hansi Ashodhara, and all the participants who joined to the session. I will introduce you the guest speaker for the today's session. It is my honor to introduce our guest lecturer, Dr. Shakila Patirana, today. Madam, we are honored to have you today here with us. She is a senior lecturer grade 2 with a PhD from the University of Mantua, and she completed her master's of Science in Sustainability Science at the University of Tokyo. Additionally, she holds a Bachelor of Science in Engineering from the University of Mantua. Once again, I welcome you all to WriteRight. Before going ahead with this meeting, I kindly request you all to keep your mics muted and show us your cooperation.
Recording in progress.
Without taking too much time, let's start the session. WriteRight, a guide to crafting accurate research papers. So, I cordially invite guest speaker for the session, Dr. Shakila Patrana, to continue the session. Over to you, madam.
Okay, thank you very much. Right, let me share the screen now. Good evening, all of you. I hope you can see the screen right now. Can you see the screen?
Yes, madam.
Okay, thank you. Right. So today we are going to learn how to write a research paper, right? So when I go through the participant list, I noticed that there are so many first year and second year students as well. So you may not be having many idea about the what is actual research paper, right? Therefore, I have included. I'm going to teach you what are the research papers, right? So there are mainly two types of research papers. One is called journal articles, right? I think some of you have heard about this. We have some academic journals, and in academic journals, we publish some articles, right? Normally, the researchers or postgraduate students, they need to publish articles there. And there are some set of articles called conference articles. So, you know, we have our own conference, right? In that conference also, you can publish conference articles. In here also, you can do some research and you can do the same. Publishing a journal article is a little bit difficult than publishing a conference article, right? Because the journal articles have very hard review process, right? There can be so many revisions. The reviewers revise it very hardly. When the journal is a very high impact journal, then it will be very much tougher, right? So the conference article, on the other hand, it will be a little bit, not very easy, but sometimes it's a little bit easy compared to these journal articles. And here you will have to present the paper as well. You will get a chance to present the paper mainly as a presentation, or sometimes we will present it as a poster as well, right? So here, let me get my pointer. Here, what you see is a journal paper, right? This is a journal paper. that actually written by me. So here you can identify that whether that is a journal paper by looking at the name of the journal. Here it's named as International Journal of Energy and Environmental Engineering, right? So this one is a journal, right? So there's a title here and who are the authors and when this was received and when this was accepted, right? And likewise, all the information will be there. And this one will be this is actually a conference paper. This is it's a triple E one, but this is a conference paper. And here also you have the same information, but you see there are so many, the format is different, right? But still the information is same. And then what you have here is an extended abstract, right? So here we don't present anything, just the paper in journal papers. And in this case, if it's a full conference paper, full paper, and we normally call it as a full paper. If the conference paper is a full paper, then we normally do a presentation, right? And here we have an extended abstract. In that case, in most of the cases, it will be a poster, right? And in the extended abstract also, we have the information like if it's normally it's a conference or symposium, then those information will be there. And also other title and the author details will be there. So that is what we call as research articles, right? Okay. Now next move into other types. No, I told you we have journal articles and conference articles, right? In journal articles also, there are two types. First one is original articles. So here you see it's mentioned as original research, right? That means you have found some original things. You have done some new things. You are publishing the article, right? You are publishing your finding. That is called the original article, right? And the other thing is the review articles. Now here you are not conducting any we are not finding some new things. Rather than that, what you do is you review what others have done, right? And then you analyze them and write the paper. That is called the review articles. And here you can limit your references, right? The list of references to maybe 20 or 30 references. But when you go through the review articles, it's like 100 papers, right? It's more than 100 papers. So normally these kind of original articles are written by some new researchers and old researchers as well. But these review articles are normally written by very experts in the research area. Right? It's little bit difficult to do such kind of analysis. But the most important thing is when you do your research, if you can find a very good review article related to that one, it's like you have read around more than 100 papers, right? So when you start your research, when you start your project, the best thing is try to find a similar review paper. Right? So I think you know how to find the research papers as well. So normally we find some articles or anything using Google, right? So instead of that, we can use Google Scholar, right? Um, yeah, I will show you. So we can go to Google Scholar. Here, let's say, yes, energy efficient building, let's say. Now here, you will get only the uh, kind of good research articles. That's a good thing for you, right? So if you want to find only the review articles, you can click this one. I think you can see this, my mouse point, right? So you can click this review articles. You can get only those things. That's an advantage for you, right? So that's about the review articles. Okay, now let's come to the main topic. So now you know what is actual review articles and what is actual original research and what are the research papers, journal papers and conference papers. So let's see what is the structure of the paper. Right? So when we come to the structure of the paper, for both conference and the journal papers, we can follow the same structure like this. Right? We can follow the same structure like this. We should have a title page. So here I have attached an example here. So, title page means it's not actually a page. They call it as a title page. So it will include the title and also the author information. So they try to separate it sometimes. It's mainly because when you send your manuscript, we normally call the draft version of your paper as manuscript, right? So when you send your manuscript to a journal or a conference, in most of the cases, you hide your author information. So you only include the title. So it's kind of separated in journals, especially in journals, they are doing it. And also in very reputed conferences also, they do the same. They ask us to hide our author information in the paper, right? It's kind of a double blind process, right? We don't know who will review our paper, and the reviewers don't know who is the author. That way it will be very much actually like confidential, right? So that will be easy. And then the abstract one, right? So this is the abstract. So after this author information and the title information, we have the abstract, right? And also near the abstract, you have the keywords, right? So here, the keywords, actually these are not very much useful now because in our search engines, it's when you type something, they can actually get the words from whole paper, right? But in the past, it was not like that. They have to follow these keywords. That's why it was kind of important. But when you write the keywords, it's better if it is not contain the words that is included in the uh, main topic, right? That's the main thing. So these are used to kind of uh, is your searching process, right? Okay. After the abstract, you have the introduction, right? So when you write your thesis or the final report of your project, you normally have the introduction and also the literature review, right? But in this research papers, you have the option to have only the introduction or to have uh, both introduction and the literature review. But if you write only the introduction, you have to include your uh, literature also in the introduction, right? That's the other thing. And also this structure is mainly applicable to original research, not the review articles. In review articles, we can arrange it very much different way, right? But as undergraduate students, the original article structure is most important for you. And then we have to write the methodology, or we can write it as methods and materials. In the engineering technology students, it will be, most of the cases, it will be methods and materials. So you have to define the materials as well. But for the CT students, it can be methodology. It can be, it is actually up to you. Right? And after you write the methodology, you have to come to the results and analysis, right? You come the methodology and then results and analysis. After you do this, you can come to the discussion. You can discuss those results, right? And then after doing all these things, you can finally write the conclusion, or you can write the conclusion and recommendation. So that is the main structure of our uh, conference paper, our research article. Okay, right. So I told you, so we are writing a manuscript, right? Let's say it's for a journal. So you may wonder what will be the length of this manuscript, right? For a conference paper, it's little bit easier because they specify the length. Most of the cases, it will be 6 pages maximum or 8 pages maximum. So you will know, okay, this will be our uh, requirement, right? So, but for some journal papers, it's little bit difficult because they usually there are some publishers, right? In journals, there are some specific publishers like they have Elsevier and Springer, Taylor and Francis. Likewise, there are so many publishers. Those publishers have some journals, something like that. Okay. So in Elsevier journals, they don't have a specific format for manuscript, but when it comes to the final stage, they will do the formatting for us, something like that. But in some less reputed publishers or the journals, what they do is they ask us to format it ourselves, right? So it's depending on that. For example, we have in our ISL also we have a uh, journal called Engineer. There we have to uh, prepare according to their format, right? So that's different. But let's say they have not given a format, right? They have not given a format, and we have to decide everything, right? We have to develop our own manuscript. In that case, 25 to 40 pages will be the ideal length for a manuscript. So it's a large one, right? Writing a journal paper is a kind of a hard task, right? It's up to 25 to 40 pages and double spaced, right? I'm not talking about the conference papers, okay? The conference papers, all the time you have to follow the format. It's a must. In our conference also, if you are publishing a paper, you are submitting a manuscript, you have to uh, adhere to the format, right? So if it is a journal which doesn't have a format for the manuscript, you can use this kind of a guideline. And then there are some other general guidelines, right? You have to form the title short and but also it should be informative, right? It should not be very short and it should not be very long. And then you can have the abstract in one paragraph. Uh, you should make it less than 250 words. If it is more than that, the paper will be uglier, the first case, and also it will be very difficult to read. It's not nice, right? So try to keep it less than 250 words. And next one is introduction, 1.5 to 2 pages. Methods, 2 to 3 pages. Result, 6 to 8 pages. Discussion, 4 to 8. Conclusion, one paragraph is ideal, but if you want to include more, that's okay, but this will be the ideal situation. And references, better to use 20 to 50 or 20 to 30 papers, 2 to 4 pages. So that's a general guideline, but it can be differ based on your research, based on your journal, and many other factors, right? But if you don't know anything, you can start with this. Okay. So now, how do we write the paper? The first thing is, actually you have to prepare a structure of the paper. Now let's say you have done a research, your final year research, or maybe in projects in technology, you have done some research, right? In that case, you have developed something, right? You have some findings. Then now from those findings, sorry, from those findings, you want to write a research paper, right? So for the first thing is you have to prepare a structure of the research paper in a Word document or LaTeX, right? So if you are not familiar with LaTeX, normally I use that one, but Word document also fine, right? So here, first include the main headings like this, right? You have the title, abstract, introduction, method, result, discussion, conclusion, reference. So only those main headings are enough, right? So after that, you keep that structure separately and then prepare all the figures and tables, right? Prepare all the figures and tables and keep. Otherwise, it's very difficult to write, right? If you prepare those, let's say you have some findings, you have mixed some chemicals and got the results, or let's say you have developed a new device, right? And then you have done the test runs. In that case, you will have the sections or some graphs or anything uh, and some data in tables. So you have to prepare it before writing this, right? And sometimes you will think the first thing we have to write is the abstract or the introduction. Most of the people think we have to start from the introduction. No, actually, we are not even writing our title also. You can't write the title until you write your paper, right? The first thing is what you have done, right? Write the methodology, right? That is the easiest thing to write because that is what you have done. The first thing is in the research paper. Now you have those headings now, right? You have all these headings, and there you have to start with the methodology, right? And then in the methodology section, you can write all the subtopics under the methodology section, right? So I'm giving an example to you, and I hope you can see this, right? I hope you can see this. This is not actually a original research paper. This is a review paper. I couldn't finish it. So I have deleted some parts so that you can see it clearly. So I have this introduction part, right? And then I have the second one because this is a review paper. The normal things are not coming here, like methods and everything. So this is little bit difficult here. Sorry, different here. So I have the introduction here, and here the second part is automated energy and environmental control system. So let's say take the introduction part here. So I have divided this to some subsections, right? Here, in the introduction, I'm going to talk about the background and what is the aim of the environmental control, definitions, existing review papers, and purpose of this review. Likewise, I have divided them into subsections, right? In addition to that, under these subsections also, I will note down what are the things I'm going to discuss here. So this is very much useful for this kind of method section as well, right? So try to write in the methodology, you will have several steps, right? First, maybe you have collected some data, right? If you run some simulations, you are collecting the simulation conditions, right? And then you make some designs and also then you go for the simulation. So there are so many steps like this, right? You can note these steps as the subtopics. Maybe you will have to select the site, right? Maybe the site selection, or the project area selection. Project area, likewise, you can separate the methodology into several subtopics, right? And under the each subtopics, now you are not writing paragraphs, right? You are just writing in point form what are the important points, right? This is how you structure it. You are not start the methodology and start writing the paragraph uh, the first place, right? You are organizing your paper very nicely in point form first, right? And then I ask you to prepare the figures and table uh, before you start writing, right? Now you have all of them. And then you have all the important points written here. Now you can expand them by including all the necessary figures and the tables. Now it's very much clean and neat. It's accurate, right? And then, so you write the methodology, right? You have to write, actually you have to write the methodology in the order that you have conducted the research. It should flow nicely, right? Sorry. Okay. It should flow very nicely. You have to write the methodology according to the order that you have done the research, right? And then once you write the methodology, now you can write the results. So I ask you to write the paper after you get all the results, right? So once you write the methodology, now you can write the result, right? And when you write the results, you can use the same process, right? In methodology, you have presented some order, and in the results also, you can use the same format. Then the reader will understand it very well, right? And then you can write the discussion. You have to discuss this result. And it's very important to finalize these results and discussion before writing the introduction or abstract. I will come to that later, right? And finally, not finally, after the discussion, we can write the conclusion, right? We will discuss each of these items later, and this is actually the order, right? So after we write the conclusion, we can write the introduction. Then we can, with all these things, we can write the abstract. And then only we are composing our concise and descriptive title, right? And then you can select some keywords for the indexing and write the acknowledgement and add the necessary references. Actually, the adding references we can do while we write the introduction or the literature review part as well. You don't have to wait until the end, right? Here, it's their format, but in our case, we can do at the middle, right? But however, the references should be at the end of the paper. That's all. Okay, so now let's learn those steps in detail. First thing is, before writing the paper, you have to set the groundwork for the entire process, right? You should know, actually you should be able to, you should have completed your research before writing this. Right? So in that case, you should be able to define your objectives and what are your hypotheses or the research questions. Only some of the researchers have hypotheses. Some are only some exploratory research. In that case, you will have only research questions, right? So you have to identify them. You have to define them. And then I told you, we have to solve the issue first. You are writing the research paper to solve some issue. No? So you have to solve this issue first and then write the paper. And then you have to review the literature related to the topic. right? So it's best if you can select about 30 papers that can be cited in your paper, right? So normally I ask my students to uh, read at least 20 papers, but it will be ideal if you can at least read 30 papers. Okay, right. Then I told you, you have to prepare the figures and tables, right? So what do you call figures, right? So these images and also the graphs, they are called figures, right? All these are figures. We don't call these, okay, these are image one, this is image one, this is image two, okay, this is graph one or chart one. Likewise, we don't call in research papers. For all of them, we call them figures, right? In some formats, they directly write it as figure, or in some format, they write it as fig. It's up to the format. That's okay, right? And then the tables, it's okay, right? We have tables. No, there are no different kind of tables. So tables will be like this. So if you have some actual experimental results, right? So you have to give those figures, right? Exact way. Then what happens is you can uh, actually give them in a table like this. Here I have given all the simulation conditions, I mean the material details of the construction components in a table. Right? In this way, the readers can read them very clearly. We can't actually express them in a chart or graph. It's a little bit difficult. So we include them in a table. Sometimes some kind of data set can be there. Right? So that kind of data set will be included as a table. That is what the table is for. Right? Then we have the figures. Right? So the figures normally we use to compare the experimental results. That is a basic thing, to compare the experiment results, maybe with some baseline condition or some ideal condition or theoretical condition, or some with one with previous work, right? So anyway, the best one is we are comparing with um, some other thing, right? In addition to that, we can use them for the illustration purposes. So here, when I say something, the reader should understand it properly. So I can include some. Okay, this is a building I have discussed, right? So this one is my um, this one is my layout. So they know, okay, it's visible that this is the case they are talking about, right? So for those cases, we are using figures. For both the tables and figures, most important thing is we have to include the captions, right? So this is not only related to the research paper, this is also related to your uh, thesis or the final reports, and also for the assignments as well, right? This is very much important. Uh, every time if you include a figure or a table, please include the figure and table captions, right? Caption means what is a kind of a title or the description about this particular table or a particular figure, right? So the position of the table caption and the figure caption is different. So I have given this example to show you this. Um, in tables, the table caption is in the top of the table, right? Always you should place the table caption on the top of the table, right? So the figure caption, it should be in the bottom of the page. And here also, when you put the figure captions, it should be at the bottom of the figure, right? That is really important. Okay. And also the references. So So this is actually my work. In that case, I don't have to provide the references because there is no reference because it's my work, right? And also there can be some other things that I have obtained from other sources, that kind of secondary source. It can be some database like World Bank database or some electricity board database, right? We have taken the information from them. In that case, we have to write the references as well. I will come to that later. So you can include within brackets what is the reference, right? It's a very short form. We call it as in-text citation. We have to use that so short form in the uh, here in the captions, near the captions. But in tables, we can write it in the bottom as well. That's also fine. The notes, right? If we have some kind of specific notes, also we can write at the bottom of the table. And another important thing is you have to have some clear axis titles, right? When you draw the graph, right? Most of the cases, you will see the axis titles are not clear. It should be labeled very properly, right? Like here, the lambda in micrometers, right? So if you write only lambda, it is not enough, right? So you have to give what is the measurement, right? Unit, micrometer. That is very important. And also this should be large enough to see in the paper, right? It's better if you take a printout and see whether it's visible or not. Right? In most of the cases, it's very small. Right? You have to be careful about that to increase that one, or else it will be in uh, some kind of a light shade. In that case, also you can't see this, right? So it should be it's better to have in black color, right? That's another thing, and also these axes also should be clear, right? And font size should be readable every time. And also here they have included in color, right? But the thing is, when you read it, if you normally read it in what do you call in a electronic device like a computer or a tablet or a phone, then that's fine. You will get the color. Or if you take a printout in color, that is also fine, right? But it's normally what we read, when we read, we use the black and white printout, right? So here you see this person will enlarge this, right? Here you see they have used some broken line and dotted lines with this kind of line, right? So if I take a printout, black and white printout also, you can directly identify those lines using this guideline, right? So it's better to think about that when you draw the graph. That's very important, okay? Right. Next one is write in the methodology. So I told you in a research paper, the first thing is to, the first step is to write the methodology, right? So one thing is, if you are proposing a totally new method, right? In some cases, you are developing it's really new thing, and also the method to develop that thing also very much new to the academic, right? Or the research world. In that case, you should include all the detailed information. If you don't include all the detailed information, they may reject your paper, right? That's really, really important, right? You should include all the detailed information. But if it is an established method, right? So in methodology, you are giving some established method and there are some improvement, but I mean, you have some your own methods and also you have some established methods along. In that case, you don't have to have a detailed information about those established methods. It's unnecessary because it's not a work done by you, right? It's done by someone else. In that case, you can provide the references, right? And also the supporting material to indicate those previously published procedures. You can write them in kind of very briefly, right? Very briefly to introduce this method and give the references if they are interested to learn about uh, those kind of methods. Right? That's enough. And then I told you you have to list the methods in the same order they will appear in the result section. They should like uh, uh, when you read the methodology and go to the result section, they should understand that properly. So it should be in the same logical order, right? The same flow. So actually, I told you it should be in order that you have done the research. That means it should be the logical order that you have done the research. That's very important, right? That's where the reader can understand. Okay, they have followed this kind of methodology. They have done this first, okay, and then they have come to this one. Likewise, they can really understand this. Right? So these research paper readers, actually, they are not just novel readers, right? Like it's not like reading a novel. It's different, right? They are trying to get some information from that, and also they are trying to kind of critically evaluate your research paper also, right? They have try to find some loophole maybe, right? So whether you have done this done this research properly, right? Are the methods accurate? Right? Is the sample enough? Likewise, they are analyzing those things as well, right? When you do your research also, when you read your research papers also, you also should do the same thing. And others also do the same thing, right? They are trying to uh, actually understand your research paper and find the uh, difficulties of the, sorry, find the issues of the papers as well, right? So it's better to be in the logical order in which you did the research. And these are the things you normally include in the methodology section. First, if it is conducted in a specific site, right? So let's say you are conducting a simulation for some kind of energy efficient building or some kind of uh, let's say you are introducing a waste water system, or I don't know, maybe it's energy efficient building will be the most best case, I think, or for designing a reservoir or something, right? So in that case, you have to select that site, right? You have to select some kind of area or the site. So you have to describe the project area or the research area, right? So you have to give the description about those that area as well. Let's say you have selected the Western province in Sri Lanka, right, as your research uh, area, right? So research site. In that case, you have to give some information about that area, because we know that what is the conditions of the Western province, but uh, the people in the other country, the foreigners, they don't know, right? They are also reading your paper, so you have to give the proper description about this. So what are the weather conditions and what is the geographical conditions? Likewise, you have to provide detailed descriptions, and you can even include the maps also, right? That will be ideal. And then if you conduct some surveys or the experiments, you have to give all the information on the dates as well. You have conducted on from July 2nd to July 30th, right? Consecutively. Or we have conducted in 3 days between these date ranges, right? Or we have conducted this research in 2022, right? In the month of January, February, and March. Likewise, you have to provide the time frame. Otherwise, they can't identify. Actually, sometimes we are collecting the data and doing everything in 1 year and writing the paper in after, let's say, 5 years. Then what happened to the data we are getting? So you have to provide those details so that the reader can imagine, can they identify whether these data are accurate or whether there are some changes in the data, right? So if we think about the research in the IT industry, right? Some consumer, the behaviors of the people. Then if we take some data from 2018 and do the, write the paper in 2022, let's say, so it may be not logical, right? It can be not accurate. So you have to give those information. Okay? And then if you have some laboratory testings, you have to provide all the details like from the sample preparation as well, right? And the analytical method, including the standards you follow, right? In laboratory methods, you have to follow some standards, right? So you have to for those methods, you have to write what kind of standard I have used, right? And maybe some details on that, right? And then if you have used some statistical method, what are the statistical method? What is the sample size? What is the confidence interval, right? So all these information, what is the population size, right? That's those things are very much important. So you have to give all of this information in the methodology. Okay, once you write this, you can write the results, right? So here in the results, what you have to do is you have to respond to the question that what you have found, right? What you have found actually, that's the thing, right? So it's very easy. It's up to you. You have to give the information that you have found. But here, you have to include only the representative results from your research here, not the previous work. The results, it's only your work. Maybe you can't include all the work, right? You can select some work, the most important thing, and present. You can include all, that's fine. But sometimes we can't do. So from all of these data, I'm only showing this one, right? And then in the results also, you don't have to write it as a it's under one single results heading. You can have some subheadings, right? Maybe let's say the effects of this particular A to B, right? And then we are coming to effects of windows on this, and then we are writing effects of the trees on this. Likewise, you can have some subheadings and uh, categorize these things. Then it will be very easy for the reader also to uh, read that one, right? Okay, now he's going to tell this, right? This is a very important point in that case. Next one is if you are using statistics, you have to think about these things. I think it's CT students will need it mostly. I'm not. I don't think most of the ET students will use, but if they are using, they also have to follow the same, right? So you have to indicate all the statistical tests, those with all relevant parameters. All the parameters should be given, right? So the mean, standard deviation, or the median. Likewise, you have to give the parameters. What are the things I'm going to that I have tested, right? And then if it is normally distributed data only, you can use a mean and standard deviation, right? So if it is a normal distributed data, you can use this. Or if it is a skewed data, you can use a median or interpercentile range. Likewise, you have to decide based on your type of data. And this thing, it's very much important for all the things, not only for the statistics, right? It's better to use some two significant digits rather than this kind of figure. So here it's very difficult to read also, right? So if we have this kind of thing, that's better. Sometimes we write only up to 4 digits, right? But let's say you all your data set will have digits. But when you average it, it comes to 3 digits. That's not good. You have to average it to 2 digits, right? That's another thing you have to consider. And then here it should be never. You have to never use. Sorry, I was made some mistakes, right? Never use percentages for very small samples. For example, uh, so I have conducted 2 tests, right? I have conducted 2 sets and I say, okay, one is successful. So in that case, I cannot say 50% is successful. That's wrong, right? Yeah, I have conducted this research, the test only for 2 samples. So it's not accurate. So if we have, let's say, 100 samples and 50 were okay, then you can say, okay, 50%. Right? Likewise, you have to have a considerably high number of sample to have this kind of statement. Right. Then we can come to the discussion session. Right? We can come to the discussion. Here we have to respond to what the results mean. Right? You have now presented all the details, all the results you have found, your findings. Now you are responding. What is the meaning of those results? That's where it comes to the discussion, right? So here this is very important because here you can sell your data, right? You can find anything, but if you don't tell them what's the meaning of this and why is it important, then it's actually it doesn't matter to anyone, right? So it's very good if you uh, that you have a chance to sell your data here, right? So if your discussion session is poor, most of journals will reject your paper. So in conference papers also, what I have seen in many papers come to me, they actually, sometimes they do the methodology part as also very well, write it, because that's the thing they have done. And also they have written the results also, actually they have included some figures, but not described them properly, but that's also okay, let's say. But when it comes to discussion, they are not discussing anything. It can be like one paragraph with very little information. And then here I can't understand what is the importance of this resource here, right? So here, please try to explain, get the chance to explain it. What your research mean, right? However, you have to avoid the statements that go beyond what the result can support. Right? You know what your results can support, but don't go beyond that one. Don't exaggerate, right? And also try to avoid the unspecific expressions. For example, it has a higher temperature, uh, or it can have it achieved a lower rate, or this is identified as highly significant. So these are actually not very good expressions, right? As much as possible, try to use quantitative descriptions, right? So instead of telling higher temperature, you can say, okay, we could achieve 35 degrees, right? So we could achieve 0 point lower rate, like 0.5%, right? And the significant, instead of saying highly significant, with that also you can say the significant level is this, right? And here, the discussion, what you are doing is only explaining the results, discussing the results, right? Here, do not try to introduce new items or new ideas here. All the new items or ideas should be in the introduction section, right? So here, what you do is only discussing them. Okay. In the discussion session, there are so many other things like here you have to interpret, right? You have to interpret. That's what you are going. So, how those results, when you interpret, you have to say how the results are related to our objectives. That's very important. So, in the introduction, I will tell you, you have to write your objectives as well. And then you have to say how my results are related to my objectives, right? And also, now here you can, in the literature review, under the introduction maybe, you have stated that what the other researchers or the investigators have done, right? Okay, they have found that this window to wall ratio, when the window to wall ratio increases, the energy consumption is. Likewise, you are discussing all these things in the introduction or the literature review, right? Now, if your, let's say, if your research is not matching with that one, right? You have a different result, then you can compare and discuss why that happened. Maybe it's because they have done the research in a cold country, but we are in a tropical, hot, humid country, right? So that's why our results can be different. Scientifically, this can be the reason for this kind of differences. Likewise, you can discuss your interpret your results here, right? And then you can discuss the weaknesses and descriptions. I mean, if your results were unexpected, you expect something, but now you get different something. And this is the place you can try to explain why that happens, right? And so maybe there can be so many interpretations, right? Not one. If there are more interpretations, you can give them all as well, right? And another thing, if you think that there can be further research areas that might require to answer the questions raised here, right? And then you can include them as well. And you have to explain what is new here, right? What is the originality of your research, right? So when you do that, try to do it without exaggeration. You have find a massive thing, you can do that, but not try to exaggerate, right? Exactly explain what is the new content in your research. And then you can write the clear conclusion. But the actually when we read the this kind of conference paper, especially what they do is they will repeat the abstract. They copy paste from the abstract or the apart from the introduction. That's the I mean 60% of the time that happens. Please don't do that. Okay. So do not repeat the abstract. That should be same because in a research paper, what we normally read is the abstract and the conclusion first, right? The first thing we read is the abstract and the conclusion, right? So in that case, it's very important that if you have written the same thing, that not used, right? And also do not list the experimental results in the just list the experimental result. You have to write the experimental result. You can write, but it's not only the experimental results, right? So here you have to find a clear scientific justification for your work, right? And also you can indicate the users and the extensions as well. And also here also you can suggest some future work, right? What will be your future work? You have completed up to this point, and we can improve this by doing this kind of things in the future. So that can be the future experiments, right? That can be your future experiments, and you can if you are if you are doing some things like that now, right? So you are doing the you are conducting some series of experiments and doing many things, and from part of those findings you are writing this paper, but some other researches are underway, so you can write those things as well. Okay, I'm done up to this point and I'm currently working on this thing. So these kind of things can be come to conclusion. Right. Now we are writing the introduction. Right. Only after writing the conclusion only we are writing the introduction. Right. So when you write the introduction, you have to answer these questions. What is the problem we have to solve? That means, what is your research problem? Right? What is your research problem? Maybe um, let's say what the research your research is having a um, good waste management plan for the waste dump near our FCT building, right? That is our plan. That is our research. In that case, you have to describe what is the problem, right? What is the problems there? What is the poor waste management practices there, right? Because of that, what has happened, right? What is the actual issue there? So that likewise, you have to explain the research problem properly. Right? If it is an industrial issue, so what is that? What is the issue there? Right? What is the problem with that machine? Right? Likewise, you have to discuss the problem that has to be solved. And also, you can discuss the existing solutions. So I told you, we can write in the research papers, unlike in the thesis, you can write the literature review as well. Right? Literature review means it can be some theory, and also, most importantly, what the others have done for the similar situations. Right? What are the past studies? That is the literature review. Right? So here, uh, those are the existing solutions. They have done some research, then they have found some existing solutions, right? So what are the best things, right? What are the best things, and what are their limitations, right? What are their main limitations, and why you have to do it, right? If they have found those things, why you have to do this, and how do you hope to achieve? Not writing the main detailed methodology, but using what kind of framework, right? Those are the things you have to discuss in the introduction section, right? And then when you do this, you have to cite, I told you, you have to cite around, you have to read around 30 papers, right? When you select those 30 papers, you have to find the some original and very important work, right? So in the journal papers, it will go to editors first, right? And also the reviewers. When they check the papers, when they review the papers, they check. They are kind of experts in their field, right? They know who are the experts in this area, right? If we have not uh, referred or cited uh, those experts' work, right? and then they think this paper is not reliable. So you have to think about that. You have to cite those important work, right? And then the recent review articles as well. I told you by reading one review article, you can, it's like you have written more than 100 articles, right? You can get this information. So you can include some review articles as well. But the most important thing is to cite the most important work. And then you don't have to include too many references irrelevant to work. So what normally students do, right? They write something and try to find some references that matches that paragraph or matches that sentence. That's what they do, right? Write something and try to relate them. So what they do is they try to find five or six something and just put in those references there. So that's not very good practice. Actually, those people actually read them, right? They go to the papers and even see actually is it there. It's kind of voluntary work. No? They are not paid for that, right? They do it because they are interested in it. So it's not a good practice if you're writing a journal paper. The conference paper also sometimes it can happen. Conference paper is not very strict like that, but sometimes it can happen. And also, I want to say something here. And in ChatGPT and some AI tools, we can write the research papers, right? That we can do it. But the references and the most of the information generated from this is not accurate, right? They are constantly generating wrong references. They are citing wrong paper. They are not even exist, right? So don't do that, right? You can improve your English or any wordings. You can ask them to make it more professional or more academic like that. That's okay, but don't ask them to write it, right? You will get in a big trouble. So try to think about that one as well. And also in when you try to find the answers for your assignments or anything, that's also same, right? They are constantly giving wrong answers. Uh, so please be aware about these things. And please do not include too much references relevant to work, right? Uh, that's I told you. And organize introduction from global to the particular point of view. So when you write the introduction, you can start from some kind of a global point, right? Let's say the carbon dioxide emission is uh, a huge problem in the industry. Likewise, you can start like that. And then you can slowly go back to our site, right? The location, maybe Sri Lanka, maybe Colombo. Likewise, you can limit to that area later. But you have to start from the bigger picture. Or maybe you can start from Sri Lanka and go to the Colombo later. Likewise, start from a bigger picture, right? And then you have to state the purpose of the paper and also the research strategy, but don't mix with the results, discussion, and conclusion. Don't think about that one at the introduction, right? Just write the purpose of the paper and also the research strategy only, right? And at the end of this introduction, include um, the objectives and the or hypothesis or the research questions or anything, right? So they will know, okay, what this research is for, right? The aim of this research paper is to find this one, right? Likewise, you can give your objectives and research questions. Okay, after writing the introduction, you can write the abstract, right? So this is actually very much important. It's like the advertisement of your article, right? So let's say you are downloading so many papers, right? Before download it, maybe from the website, although you are just viewing it, right? before downloading even, you are thinking is it worth to download? In that case, you are first you are looking at the title, right? You are you try to open it based on by looking at the title. So that's the first thing, right? After you decided to open it, then you look at the abstract only. In most of the case, you read only the abstract. You are not reading the rest of the things, right? After you read the abstract, you decide, okay, is this worth to download? Then only you go to the other sections and see whether I have to include it or not. So abstract is the most important thing in your article and the title, right? So in my one of my previous supervisor in Japan, he is also actually corrected. Actually, it came as a in red color. It changed everything in the abstract. So he said it should be perfect, right? This abstract, it should be very much interesting and it should be easily understood without reading all the article, right? Sometimes if you write just a few things from the introduction, that is not actually helpful for the readers. We will think, okay, this person has not done anything, right? And it's not worth to download even, right? So you should make it more interesting. Sometimes they have some graphical abstracts also, right? Um, some journals have that facility. They have the graphical abstract there also. Then the readers will be much more interested in this. And then try to avoid using some uncommon abbreviations and references related to steel. You can provide some very common if for that particular field, if that abbreviation is very much clear, right? It's very known one, then you can of course include it. But if they are not very common, don't include that, right? And these are the things you have to include in the abstract. You have to give a short description of the what is the perspective and what are the purposes of the paper, and please give some results, but try to minimize the experimental details. You can just say that I have followed this methodology, right? But try to minimize it. Don't write the lengthy sentences. You have only 250 words to do this, do everything, right? But try to give some key results. These are the findings. I have used this method and I found this thing, right? And and also give some short description of the interpretation and the conclusion in the last sentence. Last sentence should be kind of a conclusion. So in abstract, it's like a mini paper, right? So why I'm writing this paper and what are kind of my aims, right? And what is the background? It's the first. And then how did I do this? And what are my results? And what will be my conclusion? Likewise, it has to be a very short paper kind of thing. Okay. Now, after writing the abstract, we can write the title, right? So if you find, let's say now here, when I type energy efficient buildings, how many search results I have got? 234,000, right? I have got 234,000 results, right? So can I read all these papers now? I can't, right? In that case, what I do is I just go through the titles here, right? If it is attractive to me, I will select it, right? I will open it, right? Like this. Then only I will read the abstract here. So I'm not going through the paper, right? I'm not going through the paper. I'm not reading the abstract. So the first thing is it's very important to select a very good title, right? It should represent the paper right? It should actually represent the paper. And also it should be little bit shorter as well, right? And especially the reviewers, they are strictly checking whether this title is very specific and whether it reflects the content as well. If it is not suitable for the content also, we can reject the paper. The rejection is very hard for a journal paper, right? So you should be always trying to minimize that kind of rejection from the journal reviewers. That's very important. And sorry, for the sorry, okay, right. And for the conference also, it's the review process is something like that. In normal conferences, most of the cases there will be a higher acceptance rate. But when it comes to IEEE papers, I think CT students are most interested in that. IEEE papers, have only 50% acceptance rate, right? It's specified by them. Therefore, it will be a little bit tough. In that case, you have to think about all these aspects. Right. And then you can go for the keywords. That is kind of labels of your manuscript. Okay. You have your title, and in addition to that, from the keywords, we can identify, okay, uh, these are the other things that are mentioned here, right? So, you have to after that actually this should be a kind of a main topic here. After keywords, you have to write the acknowledgements, right? You have to write the acknowledgement as well. Acknowledgements means you have to, if you want to thank somebody, you can do it there, right? So you can't include all the people in as the authors, right? There can be some people who help you technically in some maybe some laboratory work or simulations. They have helped you. So in that case, you can list them. You can thank them in the acknowledgement section, right? And also if they have helped in proofreading the paper, right? It's very good uh, practice if you can proofread your paper, right? Uh, Actually, when we write something, it may be clear to us, but it not be readable to others. It not be clear to others, right? We have the same that thing in our mind. So when we write it, we don't understand that other people can't understand this. It's very important to get the opinion from another person, right? So there are some proofreaders like that. If you ask them to read, then you can understand whether they can understand that thing, right? And next thing is there may be some cases you have get the fundings from a funding agency. For example, in our undergraduate projects, this time we got some fundings for the industry projects, right? So it with the funding agency is ADP, right? In some cases, to claim the funds, we have to include the grant number and submit that paper, right? You have to uh, uh, have a proof that from this grant I have published this paper. In that case, you can include the grant number as well. That is what for the acknowledgement is, right? Okay, now let's come to the references. So it's time now, 6:24, right? Okay, references. So I think if the fourth year students are here, they have seen this, but I'm not sure about the first year, second year, and third year students. So there are two types of, there are two places that the reference occurs, right? This is the reference list, a list of references. We finally, at the final page or at the end of the paper, you include all the references. right? So it can be in a numerical format, right? Or in a this kind of alphabetical order format, right? So if you use IEEE, it will be numerical one. When you write first one, it will be within square brackets 1, and the references will be coming according to that order. But if it is a author year one like this, here we have the surname of the authors, and then we have the year. That is called the author year format, right? Author's name and the year. So if we have this kind of format, most probably we will try to uh, arrange it in alphabetical order from A to C, right? So these are the references. So writing the reference is little bit difficult because the generating the reference list. Because for the journals we have one format, and for the conference papers another format, and books another format, for the websites another format. Likewise, there are so many different formats, right? And also there is not only one reference style also. Here we have author year style, and here we have numerical style. In author year styles also we have Harvard, APA, and many other things, right? So in each reference style, the writing the reference part is little bit different. Not little bit, sometimes totally different, right? And in this kind of thing, also in IEEE and other numerical format, that's also different, right? Therefore, what we do is we are using some referencing manager, right? So in Word also, I think you have seen there's some facility to uh, in references. Now you don't have this, but you have the citations and bibliography, right? This one is kind of default one for Word, right? Here you can manually insert some citations, and finally generate it. That option you have, right? But if we have some kind of referencing manager, then your task will be very much easier, right? So there are so many referencing manager like Mendeley and EndNote and many other things, right? But I'm very much used to Mendeley, and I have used it a lot, and I teach my student to use that one also. Because it's very user friendly. So you also can use the same thing, right? So having from downloading to use in the Mendeley is given here. You can I will give you these slides to the organizers. You can collect it from them. I will ask them to share. So what you have to do is you have to download Mendeley Desktop, right? The link is given from mendeley.com. You have to download Mendeley Desktop, right? And then and before doing anything, yeah, I couldn't mention that one. You have to go to Mendeley site, right? Mendeley.com, and create a user account, right? It's very important, right? You have to have a user account for Mendeley, right? And then once you install the mendeley.com, you can install the Word plugin for Mendeley. That the thing I had in my Word, right? So to do that, go to Mendeley Desktop, go to Tools, and install MS Word plugin, right? So if it is not enabled, you have to go to Options, Add-ins, and enable the Mendeley, right? And after that, it will be appear like this, right? Under References, you will appear. It will appear Mendeley is automatic, right? This is how you get Mendeley. And then how do you do it? Right? So here, what you have to do is you have to upload all the required papers to Mendeley. You just have to drag and drop. This is my Mendeley desktop. Right? It includes all the necessary papers. Not all, actually, I do it recently. Therefore, I don't have all these things, but it's kind of library for you. You can include all the research papers you want, and even you can have some folders as well. You can create new folders and organize it accordingly, right? And then you can use it as a PDF reader also. You can double click and read it here. And then you can highlight and add some notes, add some, you can do anything, right? Like a PDF reader, right? And the most important thing is it will go to cloud. Let's say you are working in both the computer and also the tablet. And the thing you are doing in your computer will go to the tab as well. So you can use the both thing, right? So that's why it's very much important. So what you have to do is you have to download it, and do not keep in the download and drag it here, because if you remove it from that location, the link will be gone. Here it will come as a link here. Therefore, you have to place it in a proper place and drag and drop to this work area, right? So it will come here. And then what you have to do is to add anything. I will show you how to do it since I have time. So here, let's say I want to add a reference, right? So we'll open a new one. Can you see my Word file?
Yes, madam.
Okay. So I'm typing something, right? Okay. Right. I'm typing citing. Now I have to include some in-text citation. The short version at the middle of the paper, it's called the in-text citation. Now I'm going to include that one. I go to the references, right? And then I click here, the insert citation, right? And then if you know everything, you can type here and get, but it's very easy. You just go to the Mendeley. So now it go to direct to Mendeley, right? And let's say I want this paper, right? I select this, and then here at the top in the toolbar we have something called cite. You click that part. Now my citation comes here, right? And then for the references, what I do is I just insert the bibliography. So at the end of the paper, you write references, right? And then our references will come here, right? And then let's say I have another thing. Sorry, now that is a tree. So again, I go to insert citation and go to Mendeley and select something and then cite. Okay. Now our next one is also coming here. Okay. And there are some other situations that I want to say. The Yang and Chopping had said that it is a tree. Let's say something like that, has said that, right? So this is the thing I want to say, not this is a tree. So in that case, the reference style is different. So here you have to remove this, right? Now I have changed this, right? And once I click somewhere else, it asks us to whether I want to keep the citation edit. So if you want to keep the edit, I say yes. Then it will keep it, right? It will keep it as a reference. Okay. Let's come to the next one. Right. Hope it's clear to you. And okay, this one I have done. And next thing is, you can change the citation style as well. That one also I will show you. Now, this is in Harvard. Here you can see the Harvard reference, right? Here it's in the Harvard reference format. But let's say I want to change it to IEEE, right? Sorry. Okay, now I have a problem, right? So if I have already changed the manual edit, it will keep it like that, right? If I have changed the manual edit, it will keep it like that. So in that case, you have to be very much careful, okay? You have to be very much careful if you are doing the manual edits. You have to make sure that, okay, I will not change the citation style later. Right? Now I'm going to change the citation style to IEEE. Okay, now it's changed to IEEE, and the reference style also will be changed. All the information are in the slides, right? And okay. And this one I showed you. You can add the reference link by just clicking the bibliography, insert bibliography here. Okay, now I think everything is clear. And if you have any question, you can ask now before I move to the process of publishing a paper. You can include the question in the chat box. Okay, then I'll move to this slide. Right. So I told you we can either publish a conference paper or a journal paper. The process is very much different, right? So the immediately what you can do is you can publish a conference paper. No? So, but you don't have to think only about that. In the other universities also, even in private universities, most of the even uh, first year or second year students, they are publishing journal papers. I have my friends who have students like that, high quality journal papers, right? So you also can do the same thing. That will be very much advantageous when you, if you want to do higher studies in the future, right? If you have very good journal papers when you graduate, that will be very much important to you, right? Um, And so if you want to publish a conference paper, right, you have to find the conference, right? You have to prepare the manuscript, like the guidelines I have given to you. And then you have to submit the manuscript prepared according to their format given, right? So in IEEE conferences, you have to use the IEEE format. They will give the link to the IEEE site and you have to select the correct format from them, right? It can be in a Word format or it can be a LaTeX format, right? You have to use the required one. And then for the others in the conference websites, they will give you the format they will require, right? Once you submit, maybe for a conference manager or through email, you submit your paper. After you submit the paper, they will initially check for the plagiarisms, right? Like we have Urkund, in our university. In most of the cases, they are checking using Turnitin, right? So anyhow, they are checking the plagiarism, whether this is plagiarized, this their original work or not, right? So I have organized some other conferences in the past, and I have found several papers with 80% similarity, maybe with their own work. But if it is the case, if it is more than 20%, we are rejecting the paper directly. We are not even considering it. We are not wasting our time to send it to the reviewers, right? So it's very important, right? Don't use the exact words in the literature review as well. You have to write them in your own words, right? And then after this process, uh, they may be thinking whether it's matching their conference, and after the screening process, it will be sent to some 2 or 3 reviewers, right? Most probably they are sending to 2 reviewers, and if it has a very contradicting review results, let's say one reviewer has said accept, and other reviewer has said reject, then they have to send to a third reviewer, right? So based on the comments of the third reviewer only, they are giving the comments in that case, right? Somehow we will receive the reviewer comments. For conference papers, normally we won't receive very lengthy review comments, very short ones. So then if it is accepted with minor comments, right, we can address those comments and submit the CR copy. CR copy means the camera ready copy. That one they will submit. So in normal conferences, they will just accept the samurai ready copy. But in IEEE, so we are in our conference also, we are trying to get that one. So you should know that in IEEE, um, it's kind of little bit difficult task. You have to uh, send the PDF and convert it to some acceptable format. And also you have to follow the exact guideline. I mean, the first letter of the, if it is also, I mean, the title can be, it should be capitalized, right? But the first letter is, it's a little bit bigger. So there's another way to do that. Likewise, there's a kind of specific format that you have to strictly follow that. Otherwise, they will not um, accept the paper, right? The IEEE has a specific regulation, otherwise they will ban us, right? So we have to check that very clearly, right? So so we have to address the comments, and also when you do the CR copy, you have to strictly follow the CR copy format. That's very important. And sorry, start. Sorry. Okay. That's about the conference paper. I mean, after submitting the CR copy, they will ask you to do the presentation, and you have to prepare the presentation, and you have to present it, right? If you don't present it, they will not publish the paper, right? That's very important thing. You think that once you submit the CR copy, they will publish it anyway. But if you are not submitting the paper, presenting the paper, then they will not publish it, right? Even though you have registered for the conference, they are not publishing it. And then next one is a journal paper. So I told you some journals, they allow us to have our own manuscript format, right? But some journals, they have their own format, and we have to use their uh, regulations, right? So according to that form, we have to prepare according to their format. But sometimes they are not giving a specific format, but they are telling us, okay, this will be my maximum number of words or maximum number of pages or something like that. They will give little bit guidelines. And also another thing you have to check is what is their referencing format. Let's say you have prepared everything according to author year format and done the same changes I have done earlier. And then suddenly you notice that our journal paper, it has a what this IEEE format, right? Or a number format. Then when you are in trouble. So first, check that one first and write your uh, thing, right? And also, when you submit a journal paper, you have to write a cover letter as well. With all for any journal paper, you have to provide a cover letter introducing you and introducing the paper. Likewise, you have to write a cover letter to the editor of the journal, right? So after you send all these things, and they also check for the plagiarism, right? They also check for the plagiarism, and also the editor will screen once and check. This is they have doing it very strictly, right? They are checking whether this is okay for their journal or not. And if they think it is suitable, only they are sending to the reviewers. Because the taking review reports for the reviewers is a very hard task. So they don't want to bother for those kind of non-worthy papers, right? So after initial screen by the editor, they are sending for the review. In some journals, there can be several editors, and they will take some time to assign to some editor also. So writing journal paper, it may take publishing, it may take several months. And then you will maybe after 1 month or 2 months, maybe 3 months, right? I have received some comments for one journal paper after 4 months, right? So it's sometimes time consuming. So they will you can write produce a first revision, right? So in the first revision, you can send the revised manuscript with the comments. So I will show you one of the revised manuscript I have sent. So here, this is the auto-generated one based on the information I input, right? So they sometimes they ask us to add some highlights, and this is my reviewer comments. So for the reviewer one, what are their comments and what are my comments? I'm explaining them. Okay, this is your comment, and I have done all these things to correct them, right? So for the reviewer three, it's like this, right? And then in the manuscript, what I'm doing is I'm highlighting those parts, right? So that they can see them easily, right? Um, and then there can be, after sending this, if they are okay, the manuscript will be accepted, or else they will send another comments, and after again we have to revise, right? After all these things, you can send the final version, right? In journals, the most important thing is they have a publisher. So I told you Elsevier, Taylor and Francis, or Emerald, or Springer, they are the publishers, publishing companies, right? So they will, after accepting this, they will contact you. They will contact you, and if some information are missing, right? They are asking for more information, and finally they prepare it very nicely and sending us so that we can check it whether all these things are correct, right? And then we can check this camera ready copy and comment, and then after everything is okay, you can approve the final version and they will publish it. That's how the publishing process happens in a journal paper. So that's all, and what you have to do is start writing the papers, right? So now we have around 10 minutes. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
If you
You
have any
can ask.
questions regarding the session, please drop them into the chat box so you can unmute yourself and then you can ask directly.
If you want to ask from Sinhala also, you can ask me.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I can't speak Tamil, therefore, either in English or Sinhala, I'm okay.
ඔයාලට මොනවාරි ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවා නම් අහන්න පුළුවන් මැඩම්ගේ. රිසර්ච් පේපර්ස් කොහොමද ලියන්නේ? මොනවාරි ක්ලියර් නැති පොයින්ට්ස් තියෙනවා නම් අහන්න. මොකද මේක ගොඩක් වටින සෙෂන් එකක්. මොකද අපේ ෆෝර්ත් ඉයර් එකේ අනිවාර්ය දෙයක් තමයි මේ රිසර්ච් පේපර්ස් and ප්‍රොජෙක්ට් කියන්නේ. Madam, I think we have one question.
Yes. Yes.
In the chat
What
box.
tools and resources are available to check grammar, spelling, and punctuation? Yes, yes, very good question. We have Grammarly, right? We have one a tool called Grammarly. That one actually, sorry, I couldn't mention you. So please try to get Grammarly for Office, right? Please try to get that one. Like you install Mendeley, you can have this Grammarly plugin also for the for your Word as well, right? So when you get that, actually in my Grammarly version, I have some issues. It disappears suddenly every time I install. But when I add it, you can click that one. Let's see, here. Yes, sorry. Okay, you can click. I will share the screen again. So when you go to home, somewhere here, right, you will see the Grammarly, right? Then all the issues, spelling issues or the grammatical issues, everything will come here. You don't have to get a premium account, right? In premium account, they even suggest how to rephrase it even, right? That's not actually not needed for you. Ne? Then you can correct everything using Grammarly. It's a very good tool. All of you, please, for your assignments also, please try to use it. Thank you very much for asking. I forgot that one. Sorry.
Madam, I think we have another question. How do you choose a relevant and well-defined research topic that aligns with the requirement and guidelines of the assignment?
Guideline of the assignment or the project?
Yeah. How do you choose a relevant and well-defined research topic that align with the requirements and guidelines of the assignment?
Okay, for the research topic, actually, normally you are doing a research for your final project now, right? Or it can be a part of your, one of your module, right? In that case, you have to do some groundwork, right? In that case, you have to, there can be some interested area, right? Let's say in my case, I'm interested in energy efficiency, right? So you just type some, like I type the building energy efficiency, you can type the same thing and see what are the areas you can have, right? And then after reading some things, then you will understand, okay, these are the other things that we can have, right? Likewise, you can get some idea about what kind of area we have to think about, right? And then after doing some this kind of research, actually literature review is to actually identify the gaps of the research, right? Um, so if you do a proper literature review, from that also you can identify some things that has to be done in the future. In some literature review, I told you they are mentioning some future research as well, right? From those things as well, you can collect those information. Is that what you ask? So normally you have to take them from the literature review.
Yeah, I think seems like there are no any questions.
Okay.
So I think all the questions were covered. Hope everyone got a clear understanding of this area, how to craft in an accurate research papers. Thank you so much, madam, for giving the best knowledge about crafting and accurating research papers. I think those things are really, really important to all of us. So this brings us to the end of the right. Before we wind up the session, I cordially invite Sureka Sulakshani, our junior treasurer of Information Technology Students Association, to deliver the word of thanks. Over to you, Sureka.
A very good evening, all of you. I am lucky to have this opportunity to give a vote of thanks for this special event. I would like to extend a hearty vote of thanks to all those who rendered their valuable contribution to make this event a reality. First and foremost, I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed chief guest and speaker, Dr. Shakila Patirana, Senior Lecturer in Faculty of Computing and Technology, University of Kelaniya. Madam, your presence and valuable insights have truly enriched our session. Furthermore, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to the Senior Treasurer and Senior Advisor of ITSA, Ms. Hanshia Shodhara, and Senior Advisor of ETSA, Dr. Shakila Patirana. Madams, thank you very much for your guidance. Moving on, I wish to overweight my sincere gratitude to the Dean of the Faculty of Computing and Technology, Dr. Chamli Pushpakumara, the Senior Lecturer and Student Counselor of the Faculty, Dr. Kasun Fernando, and the Academic Advisor and Senior Lecturer, Dr. Mudita Tisera. I will fail in my duty if I forgot to thank our Executive Committee of ITSA and ETSA and all the members who work untiringly around the clock to make this event a breathtaking one. Moving on, it's my duty to thank all the participants gathered here today. Well, last but not least, I express my sincere gratitude to all those who have helped us in various aspects to successfully complete Right Well. I wish you all the very best. With that, I conclude the proceedings of the meeting. Until we meet again, thank you and goodbye, all of you.
Okay, thank you very much all.
Recording stopped.